It's the fifth time I've called. My index finger starts to get sore around the cuticle from all the dialing. I'm calling CKLW's phone number. Luckily, it's not long distance, or I'd be in big trouble with my parents. Though it could be long distance, since CKLW is a Canadian radio station and I'm in Detroit, but I don't think it is. Either way, I don't know where I got it in my head to call them, but now that the idea is there, I can't get it out. My mother's in the other room and she hasn't started wondering yet what I've been doing on the phone for so long. She has one of her shows on and it's pretty loud. Lucky for me, but I still keep getting a busy signal. On the 9th try, cuticle red and aching, I finally get through. After 3 rings, a woman picks up and says, "CKLW request line, can you hold for a moment?" Of course I can. I'm thrilled. Over the line, I can hear the disc jockey, Ed Mitchell, announcing the song In the Year 2525 by Zager and Evans. The song starts. It sounds tinny and staticky through the phone line, nowhere near as good as on my Corsonic transistor radio. After a couple of minutes, I start to panic, thinking that the operator has forgotten all about me, but then someone answers. His voice is so low and clear and deep that it seems to exist on a different wavelength altogether. There is nothing tinny or staticky about it. I'm actually speaking to the disc jockey himself. "Okay, what do you want to hear?" he says in a growl that sounds so very familiar to me. I can't speak, having suddenly stumbled into a world where adults care about what I want. "Hello? Is he mad?" I don't want DJ Ed Mitchell to be mad. He's going to hang up, so I push out the words as best I can. I want to hear A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash," I say. "Okay, wasn't sure if anyone was there. Now look, I'm going to record your request, and then we're going to play it on the air later. Is that cool?" I nod. "So it's cool?" "Yes," I say, realizing that nodding at the phone is not a good idea. Trying to make up for my mistake, I muster up all my energy and yell, "Yeah!" "All right," says DJ Ed. He's an adult who likes it when I yell. "That's good. Say it just like that. Just say, 'Hey, Ed Mitchell,' then tell me your name, your age, and say the song you want to hear. Lots of enthusiasm. Got it?" "I think so." "Okay, are you ready? And go." I mess it up, of course. I forget to say, "Hey, Ed Mitchell," and I forget to say my name, too. "You gotta get it right this time or I have to go," he says, and I can tell that he means it. "Get ready. 1, 2, 3, go." I take a deep breath and spit it out fast. "Hey, Ed Mitchell, my name is Danny Zemsky. I'm 10 years old and I want to hear A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash." "All right," he roars. He is happy with me. I have pleased DJ Ed Mitchell. "Thanks, Danny. Good job. You'll be on the air in a little while." Then the line goes dead. I hang around outside with my Corsonic for the next 2 hours, waiting to hear myself on the radio. I hear the same songs over and over again. Crystal Blue Persuasion, Choice of Colors, Put a Little Love in Your Heart, My Cherie Amour. I sit there on the glider in the backyard of our bungalow in northwest Detroit. 2 years after the riot, my mother is finally feeling that it's okay for me to be outside again, as long as I stay in the yard. She remembers, like I remember, the towers of black smoke rising into the sky down Grand River Avenue 4 miles away, the rumors of looting at Grandland Shopping Center just a mile from our house, the tanks rolling down Fenkel after the governor called in the National Guard, the news reports of snipers, and the hazy, frantic footage of people running out of and into burning buildings. She'd really rather I'd just stay in the house. Mark and Jim, the closest I have to friends, come by to talk, but I've got the transistor pressed to my ear. "I'm going to be on the radio," I tell them. "Sure you are, Tubsky," says Mark, then the two of them go off to play curveball. Just as well, since I'm not supposed to go too far off our property. Besides, it's very important that I hear my name on the radio. After an hour and a half, I start to worry that the Ed Mitchell show is going to end without him playing me or my song, or that the battery in my radio is going to die. I do hear one other kid request a song, It's a little colored kid who says, "What's happening, Ed Mitchell? I want to hear Girl, You're Too Young by Archie Bell and the Drells." Only when he says the name of the group, he stretches it out so it sounds like the Durrells. I worry that maybe since he got to request a song, I won't hear mine. Yet a half hour later, after a commercial for Gene Morales Chevrolet, "Gene Morales, what a great, great guy," sung by a man who sounds like he's got a cigar wedged in the side of his mouth, I hear my own voice squawk and boom over the airwaves. My voice is lower than most kids my age because I'm husky. I'm so excited I can't even speak. I sit there on the glider in my backyard, swinging frantically, not even listening to the song, just letting the sound of my own voice on the radio replay in my head. About the time when I do actually listen, the song begins to end. Johnny Cash is just about to shoot his dad for naming him Sue. "But you ought to thank me before I die for the gravel in your guts and the spit in your eye." A few moments later, Johnny Cash is done singing and the music fades. I know that even though CKLW will play this song hundreds of times in the next few weeks, this is the last time I'm ever going to hear it in exactly this way. My 1/25th scale life. Most mornings this summer, I'm awakened by the sound of the radio coming from the kitchen. It's tuned to WJR, the great voice of the Great Lakes. I lie in bed listening to The Look of Love by Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66, or The Unicorn by the Irish Rovers, until my father comes to wake me up. He knocks on the door jamb, then grabs my foot and gives it a shake. "Up and at 'em, Daniel." "Okay, Dad." Even though I just got out of bed, J.P. McCarthy, the disc jockey on WJR, is easy to listen to. He's like an uncle you didn't know you had. He says dopey stuff like, "Good morning, world," and "Remember my name in Sheboygan," but I like him anyway. I notice the way my mother reacts to him. At the tiled kitchen counter, preparing a cup of tea for me, I watch as she pauses to listen to something he's saying. That moment, with her head cocked downward, half smiling, I notice how pretty my mother is. "What are you up to today?" my dad says. He asks me this every day. I'm just going to go work on a model car downstairs." "Why don't you get out and play some ball with your friends? Hey, how about that TV2 Swimmobile? Isn't that around here today?" "Oh no," says my mother. "Every kid in the inner city is swam in that thing. He'll get worms and God knows what else." My father sighs. "Well, try to get some fresh air." "Like there's any fresh air in this city," says my mother. "I'm not all that crazy about fresh air," I chime in. This is where my father gives up. He doesn't actually know that my mother barely lets me leave the house anyway. Not that I mind. It doesn't matter to me that it's summer. It's too hot and bright outside, the day's too long, and my mother just wants me to be safe. I even have my own special room in the basement. It was a coal bin before my parents bought the house, but now it's just a little narrow room where things end up, with an old red Formica drop-leaf kitchen table at one end where I build the model cars. I sit at the beat-up table with my radio on and my X-Acto knife and the squint of Tester's model glue in the air. I've heard the kids sniff it. Under a dusty cone of light, I tinker together 1/25th scale replicas of pro stock racers like the Sox and Martin Boss Cuda or the Nitro funny cars of Don the Snake Prudhomme and Tom the Mongoose McEwen, natural enemies in nature and on the quarter mile. While I work, the only sounds are CKLW and the trill of the dehumidifier, clicking on, drying and vibrating the stinging chemical air. I sing along to the Fifth Dimension or the Cowsills. Sometimes I imitate the disc jockeys while I sit there. "That's a little Kemosabe for you by Electric Indian, coming up on 4 o'clock. It's about 84 degrees in the Motor City." Occasionally, my mother hears me talking to myself down in the coal bin. She speaks to me from the laundry area. "Danny, stop talking when there's no one there to listen." "Sorry, Mom." "We don't need any more kooks in the family." My mother does not want me to grow up to be a kook. Her whole family is full of kooks, according to her, which is why she doesn't talk to any of them. I can easily spend the whole day building the model cars and listening to the radio, never leaving except to go upstairs to the bathroom or to make myself a sandwich. If my mother is in a bad mood, I just gulp back my hunger and swallow my spit. The wash tub is my emergency place to pee. During this third summer indoors, Jim sometimes knocks at the back door and calls for me, breaking my name into two parts. Danny! I sit there in the coal bin, ignoring him, until my mother finally goes to the door and tells him that I'm busy. She never asks why I don't answer him. Jim lives 7 houses down from me and is moving away soon. Away from Detroit, away from the idea of another riot that comes even closer to our neighborhood. His family is moving to Livonia, near the mall. I'm mad at him for leaving, so I sit there ignoring him, building the model cars, staying out of my mother's way, and trying not to be a kook. The sound of everything. It's also the summer that my father and I go to the drag races. This Sunday afternoon at Detroit Dragway, gigantic super fuel funny car spectacular, say the commercials, echoing from my radio. We take the long drive downriver in my father's Biscayne to Sibley at Dick's, pay our $2, pull into the wide, dark dirt lot, and park among the gray primered muscle cars with bulged hoods and raised rear ends, the trucks with their empty trailers, and the family station wagons. We trek through a series of fences and fields to the bleachers, working our way toward the sounds of tires squealing and engines revving. Are you ready? My father says to me. This is something he says every time we go. I nod. I'm ready. Okay, because it's going to be loud. We sit among crowds of lean, smoking men in white t-shirts with blowsy, puff-haired women and pedal pushers and grubby kids with Kool-Aid stained mouths, all of us watching the homemade hot rods, air-scooped and cherry-bombed, that rattle in on trailers from Inkster and Allen Park and Fenton and even Brightmoor near us. The cars pair up on the drag strip and take off, one heat every minute or two. One of the funny cars, I asked my father over the sound of a new red-orange Pontiac The Judge GTO skittering off the line against a Bondo patched Nova. The Nova wins. Pretty soon, I think, he says, taking the last puff of his old gold before dropping it to the dirt and stepping on it. In his beige sport shirt and neat mustard slacks, he looks different from the other men. The funny cars are candy-colored, airbrushed, decaled, fiberglass shells of cars like what I would find in one of my model car kits, only full-sized, with giant supercharged engines, enormous black slicks in the back, and much smaller mag-rimmed wheels in the front, all mounted on a spindly tubular chassis with a cage where the driver is strapped in. They have names like Motown Shake and Comet Cyclone. The crews roll the cars up to the starting line where they start the engines, a thunder that ignites the air and causes my dad and I to turn to each other, our eyes wide with disbelief. He yells at me, and though I can't really hear him, I know what he's saying. Are you ready? Grinning, I nod my head again. It's gonna be loud! The crew pours bleach on the track, and drivers spin their slicks till smoke billows, heating them against the asphalt for traction. Roar and squeal, steam and stink, all at an awful, wonderful volume that makes my heart clatter in my chest. Soon the air is harsh with bleach and nitro fuel, and I can barely breathe from excitement and fumes. Ears buzz and eyes tears until finally a tall traffic light, the Christmas tree, counts down to a green light and the cars explode off the line, tires scorching asphalt. It's over so quickly you would miss it if you looked away for 7 seconds. But no one looks away. For those 7 seconds, my father and I can see, smell, taste, feel, and hear sound. Sometimes my father brings earplugs, but we never use them. We crave that sound. We love how it feels, how it hurts. The sound fills us up inside. It seeps through my skin, between the bones and muscle, into the narrow spaces surrounding my heart, in those empty spaces that I hear when I beat my chest like Tarzan, the spaces that make my voice deep. The Jams. I don't care much for rock music when I first hear it. I find this out in a classroom that fall when one of the tough kids in my class brings in a record for show and tell. Before class, I hear talk between the desks that the record Barry Stegner is going to play has swearing on it. His plan is to trick our teacher, Miss Ferlin, into playing it in front of the class. I've certainly heard swearing before from my mother and father, yet I somehow fear that having curse words spoken aloud in the classroom will cause some sort of disturbance, possibly even a riot. But then I'm always worried about something causing a riot. If that happens, I naturally assume that Barry Stegner and the other bad kids will take over the classroom, hold our teacher, Miss Ferlin, hostage, then maybe burn down the school for good measure. I feel like it's up to me to do something, since I'm the only boy in the class who has won a citizenship award. Me up on stage with dozens of girls bursting with pride, not knowing that it will make me a target for every mean kid in the school. The tauntings, hat stealings, book upendings, and lunch money muggings begin shortly after that. Yet I can't bring myself to tell Miss Ferlin that she's about to play an obscene recording. I don't want to be a tattletale, and besides, if there is a riot, what will they do to me? I have to keep my mouth shut. An older, sandy-haired kid from the AV room rolls in a tank-like gray record player on a cart and plugs it in. The turntable slowly starts to rotate. Miss Ferlin looks over the class. She has milky smooth skin and a that girl brunette bouffant, offset strangely by a slightly oversized and stationary glass eye. No one knows how it happens, but it's impossible not to stare at it when you talk to her. Everybody, Barry Stegner has something for show and tell today. Barry, sloth-eyed and loping, gets up before the class. Then he says, I have a new record that I want to play. He holds up the album, and I can feel the tension in the classroom. Miss Ferlin takes a look at it, at the collage of images on the front, at the liquidy red, white, and blue letters across the top. It looks very, she searches for a word. Patriotic is what she settles on, spotting an American flag on the cover. Barry pulls the album out of the sleeve and holds it up. The label is black and red with a large E at the top. He leers at the class, making a big show of placing the record on the ashy felt of the turntable. And what is this record called, Barry? Asked Miss Ferlin. I sit at my desk paralyzed, feeling bad about how I'm letting Miss Ferlin and her glass eye and the American educational system down by allowing this to happen. Yet I'm also fascinated, wanting desperately to see what's going to happen next. It's called Kick Out the Jams, Miss Ferlin. Miss Ferlin seems not exactly sure what to make of the title, but she smiles pleasantly anyway. And who's the recording artist? The MC5, says Barry, grinning hard. All right then, class. Barry's going to play his record called, she looks to him for confirmation, Kick Out the Jams? Yeah, he says, staring at her glass eye. Barry places the needle on the record, and with a lurid glance toward the class, he reaches over and turns up the volume all the way. The whole class somehow knows something big is coming. A sizzle of amplification fills the room. We hear the recorded whistles and hoots of the audience for a few seconds. Then finally, a man's voice booms out of the speaker, talking like he's being held prisoner in an echo chamber. Right now! Right now! Right now, it's time to... There's a long pause, then the jangle of a guitar before the man screams, Kick out the jams, motherfuckers! After that, a series of grunts and ahs, guitar screeches and drum beats that sound like gunshots. There's energy crackling in the air from the record, which reminds me for a brief, gleeful moment of the Drags. And I feel pretty good! Which is when Miss Ferlin, one eye shocked wide open, the other bored and non-committal, rushes over to the record player where her foot hits the bottom of the tank cart, sending it rolling across the front of the classroom. The record keeps playing. And I guess that I could get crazy now, baby! The music is raucous and angry and thrilling and scary. Even over all the noise, I can hear the sigh of approval from the class. Finally, Miss Ferlin pulls the plug from the wall outlet, and the music grinds to a distorted halt. She pulls the needle from the record, grabs the record from the turntable, and hands it to Barry Stegner, who is obviously thrilled with what has just happened. Less so when she grabs him by the arm and drags him out of the classroom. You are going to the principal's office right now. I'm just happy when it's over. But there's something about the music, maybe just the volume of it, that haunts me for the rest of the day. I think about it later when I'm in the basement building the model cars. It crosses my mind that the music I hear on my stations is not at all like what I heard today in class. Just as quickly, the idea evaporates, and I continue to sing along to Sugar, Sugar. Thank you. Luis Resto, the Prince of Detroit. Just he plays everything. It's amazing. It's almost scary. Anyway, we can do some hey, hi Dave. A little Q&A if we would, if anyone has any cues. Don't be shy.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Redford High School. Actually, the book pretty much takes place in my old neighborhood, my old high school, and I just figured it made more sense to. I knew about all that stuff, so yes, I did go to Redford High School. Now Meyer Thrifty Acres, but you know it's okay because they took the top of the sign that said Redford High School on the top, and they put it in the parking lot, so it's cool. So, but anyway, yeah. Anyone else?